Oh my God, you guys! Come in and grab a seat. We need to slow this story down and walk through what is confirmed about Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death, what early reporting got wrong, why the rumor machine kicked into overdrive, and how to cover this with respect while still asking fair questions. By the end, you'll have a clean timeline, a safety lens for what happened in the water, and a sane checklist for what real updates would look like if anything new emerges. Let's start with what is verified right now. Malcolm-Jamal Warner died at 54 while on a family vacation on Costa Rica's Caribbean coast. Authorities completed an autopsy and ruled the cause accidental asphyxiation by submersion. That is the medical way of saying drowning. Bystanders pulled him from the water. Responders from the Costa Rican Red Cross worked on him, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. These details come straight from officials and are not in dispute. Now, here is where confusion started. In the first 24 to 48 hours, several outlets ran with a version that placed his daughter beside him in the water and suggested he drowned while trying to save her. Costa Rica's Judicial Investigation Agency later clarified the sequence. He had been playing with his daughter at the shoreline. Then he left her out of the water and entered the sea with a friend. A powerful current caught them. The friend made it out. Malcolm did not. That clarification matters because it changes how people picture his final minutes, and it shows how early reporting can morph as officials refine statements. While all that was unfolding, people on the beach did try to help. Lifeguards were not on duty on that stretch at that moment, a reality at many Costa Rican beaches, and bystanders, including tourists who identified themselves as doctors, assisted until the Red Cross arrived. Different eyewitnesses emphasized different parts of that timeline, which is normal in chaotic emergencies, but it fed online arguments about who did what and when. Keep that in mind whenever you see a single clip being treated like the whole truth. Let's talk about conditions, because the ocean is its own character in this story. The Caribbean-side beaches around Limon are famously beautiful and can also be deceptively dangerous. Rip currents there can form fast, run hard, and move even strong swimmers sideways and outward in seconds. U.S. travel advisories warn that many beaches in Costa Rica do not have staffed lifeguards, and that rip currents are a leading hazard for visitors. That context does not make the loss any easier, but it explains how a healthy adult can be overwhelmed in minutes with no crime, no mystery, only brutal water physics. So why did this become bigger than a tragic rip current accident? 3 overlapping reasons. First, the man himself. Malcolm carried a reputation for discipline, thoughtfulness, and principled choices. Fans struggle to reconcile a calm, grounded public figure with a sudden ocean accident, so they reach for a deeper cause. That is human grief logic, not evidence. Second, the early narrative shift. When outlets correct a detail as big as who was in the water, people assume a cover-up even when it is simply the normal process of clearing up a chaotic scene. Corrections are a feature of responsible reporting, not proof of a plot. Third, the internet machine. Once a big account says this feels off, the echo chamber cranks up. You get side-by-side clips, stitched reactions, and a fog of confident storytelling built on half-facts. Repetition can make speculation feel familiar, and familiar can feel true. That is how rumor becomes the headline. Here is the clean way to sort signal from noise without losing your edge. Step 1. Anchor your script in the corrected sequence from officials. Shoreline play with his daughter. He leaves her out of the water. Enters the sea with a friend. Rip current pulls them. Friend survives. Bystanders pull Malcolm out. Red Cross works the resuscitation. Pronounced dead at the scene. Lay that out clearly in the first minute so your audience understands what is confirmed. Step 2. Explain why eyewitness timelines vary. Stress, waves, distance, translation, and trauma all warp memory. Professionals piece those perspectives together. Social timelines cherry-pick. Acknowledge the variance without spinning it. Step 3. Give the safety education most videos skip. Define a rip current in one sentence. Explain how a lateral flow can carry swimmers along the beach and out past the break. Note that the right escape is to float, conserve energy, and swim parallel when you can, not straight back against the flow. That is practical value that honors the moment and may save someone later. Then state plainly that many Costa Rican beaches have no staffed lifeguards, and tourists should treat red flags and local warnings as hard stops, not suggestions. Step 4. Label the rumor wave without amplifying it. You can say there are online claims about foul play and missing devices, and that none of those claims are confirmed by investigators. Full stop. Promise to update if officials release new information like a toxicology summary. Your audience will respect the difference between reporting and repeating. While we keep the facts straight, we should also keep his legacy central. Malcolm-Jamal Warner was not just a familiar face from a massive sitcom. He kept building. He toured as a musician and poet. He turned down roles he felt reduced Black life to caricature. And he recently poured energy into a project called Not All Hood, a podcast he co-hosted with journalist and professor Candace Kelly. The point of that show was to push back on the one-note image of Black America that gets recycled for clicks. Different lanes, different lives, real nuance. That is a better summary of the man than any rumor thread could ever be. If you want to cover him with respect, build a middle chapter of your video around the work. Mention that Not All Hood hit a second season this summer. Note that Keisha Knight Pulliam, his TV kid sister and lifelong friend, sat with him for a conversation about growth, family, and legacy not long before he passed. Mention how his co-host described him in interviews after his death, not as a headline, but as a father, a husband, a collaborator who texted jokes and pushed for better representation even when the cameras were off. That is what friends have said publicly, and that is fair to include. Now, a quick explainer that will help your audience understand the official language. Accidental asphyxiation by submersion is the autopsy phrasing for drowning. It is specific because it rules out things like blunt force trauma or gunshot injury and anchors cause of death in the physiology of water in the airways and oxygen deprivation. In practical terms, it also means this is the box law enforcement uses when there is no evidence of criminal assault. If that box changes, it will not be because a creator said so on a live stream. It will be because investigators updated their file. What about the questions people still have? Here is a fair, responsible list that you can use on camera without drifting into accusation. 1. Conditions and signage. Were there red flags or warning signs posted that day? And did local rescue groups already flag that stretch as high risk? This is a policy and safety question, not a blame game. 2. Response timeline. How many minutes elapsed between the first distress and the Red Cross arrival? Not to assign fault, but to understand where resources are thin and how volunteer networks are filling gaps. 3. Follow-up reporting. Will Costa Rican officials release a public-facing toxicology summary? If they do, it ends a lot of rumor oxygen. If they do not, that is normal too. Many jurisdictions do not publish full talks outside the case file. 4. Lifeguard coverage. Are there moves to fund permanent lifeguards on the most dangerous beaches in Le Mans? If advocates push that, it is a constructive outcome born from tragedy. If you want to add a thoughtful section about media literacy, try this framing. Say that grief looks for patterns and villains. The internet rewards confidence over accuracy. When those collide, you get viral certainty built on shaky ground. The antidote is boring and powerful. Wait for the file. Cross-check the outlet. Use language that separates confirmed details from claims. Do not launder rumor into fact by repeating it with an authoritative voice. Let's do a tight timeline recap you can read in 20 seconds. Sunday afternoon, July 20th, Caribbean coast of Le Mans, Costa Rica. Malcolm plays with his daughter at the shoreline, then leaves her out of the water and goes in with a friend. A strong current carries them. The friend survives. Bystanders pull Malcolm from the water. Responders work to revive him. He is pronounced dead at the scene. Autopsy confirms accidental drowning. Later in the week, officials correct early reporting to clarify his daughter's position and the friend's role. Memorial tributes begin pouring in from family, friends, and collaborators. In your last act, bring it back to the man and the work. Name the podcast. Name the mission. Not All Hood. A space to refuse lazy narratives and showcase the full spectrum of Black life. That is the energy to carry forward. You can invite listeners to sample a couple of episodes, especially the recent sit-down with Keisha Knight Pulliam and the conversations with artists and activists who complicated the picture in the best way. That is a path toward honoring him that does not hinge on any speculation at all. What to watch next if you want real updates, not noise. Any official addendum from Costa Rica's Judicial Investigation Agency. Any public statement from the family or their counsel about belongings or repatriation. Any push from local lifeguard associations or the Red Cross for increased coverage on that coastline. And any new on-record interviews with rescuers that clarify the chain of events without the telephone game effect of reposts and clips taken out of context. Here is your call to action that keeps the comment section focused and useful. Do you want this channel to chase every rumor for views, or to wait for official updates, even if that means fewer clicks? Tell me how you want us to cover sensitive stories so we balance curiosity with care. If you learned something today, hit like, share this with someone traveling to Costa Rica, and subscribe for follow-ups grounded in facts and empathy.